Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critics. Alright, so we have a new type of tier list video to do today. Today we are talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like we do every day, almost every week on this channel. And I will actually say, I know that Marvel hasn't really been the best the last few years, since COVID and the writer's strike, and honestly because of actors' deaths. But I also feel like this year has been one of the best years for Marvel. And it's been the best it's been the best in very unexpected ways, where like the projects that we kind of wanted to work didn't really work as well, like the Spider-Man show, which I did like, but I wasn't a big fan of it. I wasn't like crazy about it. Like, I liked it, but I wasn't loving it. I can't think of anyone that liked or loved Brave New World, but that movie should have been a top tier Marvel movie, considering we now have a black Captain America, or Sam Wilson is now Captain America. We got Daredevil back in the MCU as our first TVMA show, well, one of our first TVMA shows, and it was good. But I don't really see anybody coming back talking about it, but they'll probably do that when Season 2 comes out. But then Thunderbolts just kind of, I feel like that was like one of the first projects where it just kind of knocked everything out of the park. And it just proved like Marvel can make great stuff again, but also connect well. And then Ironheart, another just like fantastic show that I was surprised, like, it's the Ryan Coogler juice. It's the Ryan Coogler sauce. It's the Coogler sauce. Fantastic Four, another exceptional Marvel film, especially in it not taking place on our normal Earth. That worked really well, and seeing this, our Marvel's first family on the big screen. Eyes of Wakanda. I know a lot of people haven't talked about it since it came out, but it is a really exceptional show from Marvel. And then we have Marvel Zombies, which is actually going to come out tomorrow, which I am so excited for. And as of right now, I feel like Phase 6, and I'll continue to say this when I watch Marvel Zombies once if I like it, that I think as of right now, Marvel Zombie, Phase 6 might be ending up to be the best phase of the Multiverse Saga, and it's actually working better and connecting better. But I'll explain more of that when I watch Marvel Zombies, and you'll see what I mean. And I'll probably talk a little bit throughout it with this video. Now, as for the projects that we've been getting the last few years, I know it has been but this has been a pretty great year. And for the future of Marvel, you know, now we're basically kind of on the road to Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, and we'll be leading up to a soft reboot to where we can get the characters we love. But we're also gonna get new main characters like Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and we'll be able to love them again, like we did back then in the cartoons and stuff, in the video games and the comic books. So we'll still get Iron Man and Captain America and stuff like that, but they're probably not gonna be in this universe as much as we would like them to. But what am I doing in this video today? Because we're basically on the road to Doomsday and Secret Wars and all that great stuff, I thought we would go ahead and do a video discussing what projects do you really need to watch before Doomsday and Secret Wars. And what projects really do connect. Not only what projects do you need to watch because you kind of have a lineup of what you should watch, but there's also certain projects like that don't really fit in here, like Eternals, where does that fit in? She-Hulk. So we're going to find that out today, discussing all the announced projects. I didn't put in Shang-Chi 2 or the X-Men movie or Thor 5 or Armor Wars, because they're not technically announced, like, of when they're coming out, and they've been on the table for, like, years. Some of these projects, I didn't include the Silver Surfer special or the Nova special, because once again, those are projects that have been in the talks for decades. I didn't put Young Avengers or Midnight Suns. I didn't put any of that because they've just been discussed. They haven't necessarily been announced or worked on or anything, or what characters will be in there. So We're just going based off the projects that are known to be coming out throughout the phases that have come out, and the ones that are officially going to be coming out. And the only projects that won't be included on here are everything I just talked about, and the next two Avengers movies, since they can't be on here because they're the ones we're leading up to. So let's go ahead and get started talking about all of the Phase 6 projects, Phase Multiverse Saga projects. And we kick things off with WandaVision, which is kind of crazy because I feel like that this is one of my favorite shows in the MCU. And as the first, I guess, MCU show from Disney Plus, this was a great show. However, I don't think the show's going to connect much with anything. It falsely teased us something of the multiverse with bringing in Evan Peters as, we thought he was Pietro from the X-Men universe, but actually he's just Ralph Bohner, which he does come back in Agatha, but you know. Now part of me wants to put this show in Doomsday because there are some recurring things in here. You don't know exactly when Wanda's going to come back. You do know where Monica's probably going to come back in Doomsday, since she went to that X-Men universe with Kelsey Grammer's Beast, and her mom is now Brainiac or whatever there, or yeah, that's a DC character. Never mind. But and you also and you also have Jimmy Woo, but we don't know when he's coming back. You also have Darcy Lewis, who we last saw, who we actually saw in Thor: Love and Thunder, so not much really to go by with there. And I guess Hayward, he got arrested. And then White Vision, White Vision's going to appear in the White Vision series. So I don't think I will say it's a completed series. But at the same time, it does feel very standalone, because the main sequel to this show is really Multiverse of Madness, with all the stuff with Wanda. But superficially, do you really need to watch this show to understand what's going on in Doomsday? Not really. So I'll put this one in completed, because I also know not everyone is really going to like sitcom shows. Because, technically, there used to be a lot of sitcom shows back on in the day, but this is one of them. And I don't know if anyone's going to be interested in watching a sitcom show starring two Avengers, and then we just get straight into a multiverse war. No, that's not going to happen. But if you want to do that, I might rewatch WandaVision. I don't know. We'll see. Falcon and Winter Soldier, the second project in the Multiverse Saga. This is also complicated because I think that this is a show that introduces a lot of cool things, but most of it feels very completed. Because it brings back Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, two important characters from the Infinity Saga, who were Steve Rogers is Captain America's best friends, and they're coming back in Doomsday. Now the thing is, compared to other characters in here, like the new Falcon and John Walker, who are also going to be in Doomsday, and but also the Flag Smashers and Baron Zemo and Isaiah Bradley, they're not. I don't think Isaiah Bradley's going to be in Doomsday, and I also don't know. And obviously the Flag Smashers, they're all dead. So, and, Falcon, we just got him. U.S. Agent, he appeared in, an episode in What If, and then he also, came back in Thunderbolts. So we have two Thunderbolts, the new Captain America, the new Falcon. So we have all this new stuff. Superficially speaking, I feel like the stuff of Thunderbolts and Brave New World are more important for Doomsday than this show is. But I will say that Falcon Winter Soldier is the better product of handling these characters in this story. But overall, if you like those characters, if you want to see Sam Wilson become Captain America, this is the show to do that. But it is completed. It doesn't. I wouldn't kill you. It wouldn't kill you if you watch this show, but it's definitely worth checking out because it is a good show. Loki. Loki is actually the first show that you'll need to watch for Doomsday, as it is a character that's coming back. Loki, Tom Hiddleston, is confirmed to be in Avengers Doomsday. And if you don't know what this show is, well, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, but basically the Avengers go back in time to get the Infinity Stones from the past, basically from the past movies. And Iron Man and the Iron Man, Ant-Man, Captain America, and Hulk go to the past timeline of the Avengers to get the Tesseract, but yada yada yada. Hulk smashes Thor. Loki escapes with the Tesseract, and there's these people called the TVA that find him, and the rest is history. Superficially, it's a really good show. It introduces a lot about the time variance authority, the TVA. It gives Loki a different character arc. By the way, this is not the Loki that died in Infinity War. This is the Loki from the end of the first Avengers movie. And if you watch Avengers Endgame, you'll understand what that means. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you just gotta watch Avengers and all that stuff by yourself. There are 2 seasons of the show, so if you want to watch that, I highly recommend, because honestly, it's a show that took me a while to get used to, because I'm like, it's doing all these plot twists, and even though the world is very interesting, I'm also like, where exactly is this leading to? But then I realized, like, maybe it not being so simple is what makes it so great. Now, it's still not my favorite thing in the MCU. It's definitely a underrated show, but it's not my favorite thing. So I respect it far more than I love it or like it. But it is a definitely important show to see, because Loki happens to be in a very different place to where we last see him in this show. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen in Doomsday. And also, we're probably going to get that Thor and Loki reunion that we've always wanted since Infinity War. Then we have Black Widow, which, superficially, there's not really much that connects with Doomsday with this movie. But I gotta be honest, this was essentially supposed to be the first movie of Phase 4. And I'm gonna be honest, this is a movie that, of the Phase 4 movies, it's severely underrated. That, like, and not only because it introduces Red Guardian and Yelena, who are now part of our Thunderbolts team, and they're also coming back in Doomsday, but also it just, like, considering what I love about the multiverse saga, especially with Phase 4, is they're able to tell a little bit more of darker stories. I feel like as though, the MCU kind of went in darker approaches with, like, the Winter Soldier and Civil War. They went dark with that, and then Infinity War and Endgame went dark with a few scenes with killing half of our favorite heroes on the screen. And then now with Phase 4, it's kind of like they were experimenting with a lot of darkness and stuff. And I think that's also a perfect example. And there's plenty of projects in here that go a little bit more darker. Because one thing we've kept hearing, that I'll talk about with another project as we go on, is that Doomsday is confirmed to have many deaths that will not require any Infinity Stones to bring them back. That there are massive stakes in that film that there's no coming back from. And that gets me very excited, and that makes the experience of that sound really more enjoyable and entertaining. So I'm excited for this. But also with Black Widow, it's kind of like the Russian version of Winter Soldier. The opening credits is phenomenal. And basically this, if you don't know what Black Widow is, it takes place after Captain America Civil War. Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, is on the run, and she happens to stumble upon her past and the family she once had before she became an Avenger, and basically meets with the people called the Red Room, which is where she was trained and became a Black Widow. And it's a pretty good film. The characters are fun, the action's good, and it's an overall really good time. So definitely, this is a film I definitely recommend checking out, because besides the terrible CGI, it is a really good movie. What If? So, I'm actually going to put this as the first film to prepare for Secret Wars. By the way, I'm not putting anything in above order of what you need to watch first. Anything that I put in what list of what you need to watch, it's basically just watch it in the release order that I'm talking about it. And with What If, for Secret Wars, this is the first project you definitely need to watch for Secret Wars, because this is really the first time we get to go to a different universe that's not ours. It's like ours, but there's a lot of things that are different. To where basically What If is a TV show that explores the concept of the MCU multiverse, of the MCU movies, and basically turns the script on its shoulders to where instead of Steve Rogers getting the super soldier serum, it's Peggy Carter that gets the serum and becomes Captain Carter or Captain Britain. Or instead of Peter Quill becoming Star-Lord, it's now T'Challa becoming Star-Lord and not becoming Black Panther and all that stuff. Or what if the Avengers never assembled and they were assassinated and killed in the same week that Nick Fury went to all these places? What if a zombie apocalypse happened in the MCU? What if Ultron won? What if all this stuff? And it's a really cool series. Of course, not every episode is going to be for everyone, but there's definitely lots of cool nuggets, especially in the first season. The second season, I think, expands on it, is a little bit better. And the third season, I mean, me personally, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to check it out for your sake, you can, because I heard that some people actually do like that season, but me personally, I don't like it. But What If is a very cool show, and you could also get the chance to probably see some of these cool characters in live action. Like, there's a version of Thanos in here that is a good guy. If we get that in live action, I will be a happy man. Like, that will be so cool. The man that killed half the universe just for balance, and now he'll help the people to save the multiverse, that would be a catch. But I don't know if that'll happen. Then we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the second movie in Phase 4. And yeah, this is definitely a movie to prepare for Doomsday. Mainly because Shang-Chi, Doomsday is going to be the next time we see Shang-Chi. Yeah, Shang-Chi has appeared in What If and stuff, and he is coming back in Marvel Zombies. But this will be the next official time that we'll actually be able to see Shang-Chi on the big screen in an MCU film with his main version, and also get to see him interact with tons of the MCU characters, whether it's the new Avengers that Sam Wilson put together, the Fantastic Four, or the Thunderbolts, or even some of the X-Men as well. Also, and they could be doing an Infinity War thing, but Shang-Chi's rings are also, I guess, a new object, part of the multiverse saga. So, yeah, this movie also introduces the Ten Rings, which are a very important piece of, I guess, the multiverse saga. We then have Eternals, and this will actually be the first project that I will put in the nothing category. For me, I don't believe this movie is going to tie into anything. Mainly because this movie was like the first, like, all the projects I just mentioned before, they were good. They were known to be good for the public and stuff. And basically, you know, they had good track records over the years. You know, WandaVision is still received well. Falcon Winter Soldier is good, but it has a bad track record because of Brave New World. Loki is known to be the best. Black Widow is hated on for no reason. What If is hated understandably, and then Shang-Chi is just whatever. Eternals was like the first film where, yeah, there was definitely some people that loved it, but there was also some people that this was like their first like bomb of Marvel. That like it was the first film that they had on Rotten Tomatoes that did not do so well. And, you know, we had a few characters appear in What If, and, you know, the Celestial in the Ocean was continued to do so in Brave New World. But this movie is not going to connect with anything. And, yeah, we do have, like, we have Icarus coming back in Marvel Zombies, but nothing of this movie is really going to connect. Nothing. I don't think so. So, I'm not removing my placement. This movie's not tying into anything. We then have Hawkeye, which I kind of hate to put this in the I don't know category because, like I said, I don't know where this show is going to connect, because it introduces a lot of cool stuff in the MCU, like with Kate Bishop, played by Hailey Steinfeld. It introduces Swordsman, which is a fun character. It brings in Kingpin in the MCU. It brings in the LARPers, the Tracksuit Mafia. It's a great Christmas show, but also a lot of these characters are like very small scale, and they deal with smaller threats. And granted, usually in the Marvel universe, we have characters that are from other universes, like these characters, that are a lot more powerful. So we could probably see Kate Bishop in Secret Wars or possibly in Doomsday as one of our Young Avengers. But they haven't, but that's all they've really been doing with the Young Avengers, is they've just been introducing new character after new character after new character. They haven't really been setting up anything. So, and now, granted, Ms. Marvel was teaming up with her at the end of the Marvels. But still, nothing of the Young Avengers has been confirmed yet. So, for right now, I will be putting this show in the I don't know. But if any characters of this show decide to come back in Secret Wars, I would gladly love that. Then we have Spider-Man No Way Home, and this is actually the first movie that you'll have to watch for Secret Wars. And I wish I could put this in preparation for Doomsday, but to be honest, there's not really anything connecting with Doomsday. Secret Wars is more of that fan event film. Doomsday is bringing in the important characters. Secret Wars is all about the characters that are, bringing back the nostalgia. And that's what Spider-Man No Way Home does best. It's bringing back the childhood of Spider-Man, where basically you're bringing back all 3 live-action Spider-Man on the big screen together to fight their villains from other universes, and it's awesome. But really, they have to save them. And this experience is a great experience, and it really shows you what this multiverse saga can really bring when it comes to fan service, and really just bringing the greatness of hope, but also what it can do for our major heroes in this universe, and how the other characters from other universes can actually impact those heroes. So I think it's very interesting with that. And then also, if you want to make a side note, if you are interested and you've only watched the MCU your whole life and you've never seen any other Marvel film, my suggestion to you is, after you watch the Spider-Man No Way Home, you definitely should go watch the other Spider-Man movies. So, for example, Spider-Man Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and then I also recommend watching the animated Spider-Verse films with Miles Morales. So, those are definitely films you definitely should all watch, but I'm not going to put the Spider-Man movies on here because they're not MCU. Then we have Moon Knight as we get into the year of 2022. This is another show that I actually don't know where it's going to connect. Mainly because, now granted, this is a character that is, I guess, part of Midnight Suns. Though Midnight Suns is also a project that hasn't really been confirmed yet, or, when it's coming out or whatever. But, hang on. But we possibly could see, because, we have a variant of Moon Knight coming in Marvel Zombies, except it's Blade. But I don't really know. I don't know what we could do. We got Moon Knight, we got Scarlet Scarab, and that's pretty much it. But I don't really know other characters we could get in one of these films, so I'll put this one in I don't know as of yet. Because like Hawkeye, I'll put this one in I don't know, because I think this show has a high chance of bringing back Moon Knight and stuff, and these characters can be very OP. So if they decide to come back in Secret Wars, this would be fun. Multiverse of Madness, another pretty important movie, but it's kind of frustrating because I kind of feel like Doctor Strange would be one of the returning characters in Doomsday, but for some reason I don't think he's going to be in it. It seems more like it's aimed for Secret Wars, because now the movie's not as cameo palooza as No Way Home is, but it does show more of the multiverse and other worlds, and an exploring of like dreams are the worlds, are other worlds, and exploring more of the multiverse that way. And basically Secret Wars is exploring other worlds. So for that reason, I'm gonna put this one as a Secret Wars film. This is important. This is a very important film. It also introduces America Chavez, which is probably another important character. But once again, right now, I think America Chavez, I think those characters and all that stuff will be much more important for Secret Wars. Then we have Miss Marvel. Surprisingly, I'm actually going to put this one in Doomsday. Miss Marvel has not been confirmed for Doomsday yet. I don't know if she's going to be in there. The only reason I really put this in here is because her bangles are essentially one of the multiverse objects. So we have the 10 rings, we have America Chavez, and we also have, so far we have, I guess, the TVA, we have Loki, we have the 10 rings, we have Miss Marvel's bangles, we have America Chavez. So we have 4 different things right now. 4 different things. And Miss Marvel happens to be another one of those things. So I'm going to put this one in Doomsday because it's a special weapon that she holds. Next up we have Thor Love and Thunder. As terrible as this movie is, I actually have to say, this is actually a pretty important film for Doomsday. Now, granted, this is a movie that has terrible humor, and I didn't really like the way they handled Thor in here, though, even though Chris Hemsworth did play him pretty well. He went too far with the comedy. Is this the best example of a movie that you should, compared to all the other projects that are on the Doomsday list? It's probably going to be the worst one, in my opinion. Well, it's one of the worst ones on the list, but is it worth getting through? Yeah, because there are some cool things in there. You do get some cool action in there. There's definitely some action sequences that are comic booky-like, and from what the MCU is doing nowadays, it seems like they're adding more of a comic booky approach. So I'm liking that a lot. So I think overall, I'm gonna put this one in Doomsday, because we also know Thor is coming back in Doomsday, and we also know that Thor 5, we heard that Thor 5 is coming on the way, but we also heard that Doomsday will be like Thor's last movie. So I don't really know. Unless they're gonna bring in a new actor and make a new Thor movie, that'll be interesting, but once again, I have no idea. I Am Groot. Yeah, this show's not gonna mean a thing. It is a prequel from the first 2 Guardians movies. Or actually, it's a prequel between the first 2 Guardians films. So, yeah, this show doesn't mean anything. It's just cute Baby Groot shorts. And if we get a season 3, I'll be happy because they were adorable. She-Hulk. This is a frustrating one because I actually don't feel like it means anything. I feel like it's going to mean nothing. Though at the same time, we saw concept art that She-Hulk is going to be in Doomsday with Hulk and Scar, and the film's going to be like a medieval film. That sounds very interesting, but that sounds a little bit too serious for a very comedic character. So I personally think in one of these future projects before Doomsday, they need to put her in a project that they can handle her seriously. And as of right now, I don't know if they can handle her seriously as right now. So yeah, unfortunately, she's not going to mean anything for this. Werewolf by Night. A special that introduced a lot of fun characters. It had a werewolf, it had Man-Thing, Elsa Bloodstone. Introduced a lot of fun characters. However, still don't know if any of these characters will appear in Doomsday or Secret Wars. If they do, we could get Blade, or we could get a comic accurate version of the Midnight Suns and seeing what they look like. We could get a comic book accurate version of the werewolf or something like that. I don't know. But overall, I think this special is It'll do something, probably. I don't know. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So this film, you'd think that it would be a lot more important for Doomsday, but for some reason, I actually think it's a lot more important for Secret Wars. Now, granted, in Doomsday we have 3 Wakandan characters coming back with Shuri's Black Panther and M'Baku and Namor, but I'm leaning more on the Secret Wars side because I feel like as though the stuff with Prince T'Challa is probably gonna be more impactful. And I feel like with this, and you know, the Secret Wars, after Secret Wars, it's gonna be more of a impactful like journey to get there of probably recasting T'Challa and aging up T'Challa Jr. and you know doing that and then doing Black Panther 3 and stuff like that. So I think it's more for Secret Wars. There is another Wakanda project that'll be more important for Doomsday that you'll understand why. But if anything, I would have Wakanda Forever still on the Doomsday list. But as of right now, I'm putting Wakanda Forever as the big event film for Secret Wars, mainly because of that. We then have the Guardians Holiday Special. Yeah, this special's not going to mean anything. It was only just a cute little holiday special that set up what our Guardians is going to go through in the next movie, but also it just shows a fun little special about the Guardians with Kevin Bacon, and it's Christmas, and that's basically all it was. Now we get into Phase 5 with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is such a frustrating movie because I wish that I could just, you know, ignore this whole movie. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I think that this movie is still somewhat important because even though the King the Conqueror stuff is not happening anymore, we are going to see Ant-Man again in Doomsday, and this is technically the last time we saw Ant-Man. So, I have to put this in the Doomsday list. Even though I hate this movie, it's my least favorite MCU film, my least favorite MCU project, probably the worst movie on this entire list. I gotta put it on here. We then have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which pains my heart because this movie does not mean a shit to anything. But, it is gonna go at the top of I don't know, because, well, actually, it's between completed and I don't know, because on one hand, we know that, like, a bunch of the Guardians actors, they're not going to come back. They're probably not coming back after this movie. Zoe Saldana and Dave Bautista, they're moving on. They're going on to do other things and stuff like that. And, you know, Mantis, I don't know what Pom Clementiev's thing is. I don't know what Karen Gillan's going to do. Kraglin, he's like now at the DCU as Maxwell Lord in Superman and in Peacemaker and working other stuff with James Gunn. And then as for right now, you know, Rocket's now leading the new Guardians, and Star-Lord is set to return in some project. So he might have a new separate project, or he might join up with the Avengers. And we also don't know if the new Guardians are going to show up in the next 2 films. And we also did see concept art of Star-Lord with like White Vision and some young Avengers. So it could be interesting. They could show up, but I don't have any guarantee though. I'll put this one in I don't know yet, but I have a high regard because I really like these characters and I love this world, and I think that it could be very cool to see these characters interact with the other MCU heroes. Secret Invasion, yeah, I don't know. I don't think this show is gonna impact anything. Mainly because Nick Fury, he came back in the Marvels. That movie seems more important. And then also, this movie is and also they introduced a very overpowered character with Gaia. Gaia is a terrible character. She's not very good. And then also they killed off Talos and Maria Hill. And they also introduced a bunch of other characters that I kind of don't care about. So for me, yeah, Secret Invasion's not going to mean anything. The Marvels. I'm actually going to put this one in Doomsday. Because sure, we don't have Captain Marvel or Monica Rambeau or Miss Marvel or Nick Fury coming back. As of right now, we don't have it confirmed. But we do know the X-Men is coming back. With Beast, Kelsey Grammer's Beast, and all that good stuff. So we know those characters will be coming back. And we know some of the X-Men will be coming back. So for me, I'm putting this one in Doomsday. Very important film to watch for Doomsday. Plus, it also, like, interferes with, like, multiverse switching and, like, switching powers and stuff. So that's also pretty important, too. So I think he does it pretty well. Echo. Echo is a project that I don't think is going to mean much of anything. I don't think they would ever have any interest in bringing that character into the Secret Wars. Unless there's, like, another version out there that, like, is cool and better, then sure, but I don't really see anything happening with it. And sure, she has, like, Maya Hawken powers or whatever, but I don't know. I'll put this one in nothing. There's not really any doubt about it. Plus, it's not really a show that's praised or anything, so yeah. X-Men 97. So, I would actually put this in Doomsday because we're getting a lot of X-Men characters, but Secret Wars, it feels more like the more important film because we probably could get a chance to see some of these X-Men characters in live action, but also to set up the X-Men in the MCU for the new saga. So, I'm actually going to put this as one of the shows to watch for Secret Wars. Deadpool Wolverine, I would actually say this is another Secret Wars movie. Granted, this is the last time we ever saw the TVA, but also, we don't know if Deadpool and Wolverine are actually going to be in Doomsday. We did hear something about Ryan Reynolds having a feud with Robert Downey Jr. on set, but I think those were, like, claimed to be false. But honestly, I'm putting this one in Secret Wars. I feel like it's more faithful, but then also, actually, I don't know, because this movie seems more important. Actually, yeah, you know what, I'm going to put this one in Doomsday. Because even though we may not see Deadpool and Wolverine in this movie, this is technically the last time we're seeing the TVA, and this is also the last time we're seeing Gambit. And Gambit's confirmed to be in Doomsday. So, yeah. So, I'm excited for that. So, yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine, you're going in there. Agatha All Along. So, the only thing that makes me worried about it is I don't think any of the witch stuff is going to matter in this show, in these movies, but the only thing that I can't hope for is probably Tommy and Billy coming back, and possibly Hulkling and all that stuff. But other than that, I have no hope with this. I'll put this at the bottom of, I don't know. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, a show that I think is actually pretty important for Secret Wars. Mainly because there's a chance we could get a live-action version of this version of Spider-Man in Secret Wars. I doubt that we're probably going to get it, but at the same time, there's still some hope because we know that, like, that version of Spider-Man is going to probably be in the new Avengers campus ride with, like, King Thanos and stuff. So, there's definitely great hope that it could happen, but I honestly don't know. Brave New World. This is actually the first film in this year that is actually starting to connect with everything. And so, yeah, Doomsday is a very important movie to watch because they mention the events of it in Thunderbolts with the Red Hulk stuff. And also, Thunderbolt Ross is asking Cap to put together the new Avengers. So, yeah, it's pretty important. Then we have Daredevil Born Again. Once again, have no idea if this show is going to be important. But one thing's for sure, you know, Daredevil, Punisher, Bullseye, Kingpin, all of those characters, they are very high key that I'm pretty sure if you did them in animation. I remember I watched a clip of Marvel Rivals, and Daredevil was just so IP, which is so OP. And I'm like, he just seems so powerful in this game. And so I'm thinking, you know, it's the comic version, so it's the other comic book versions. So maybe we could see, like, someone else play Daredevil, and we could get, like, an alternate version of him. I think there was we saw, like, an alternate version of him in What If. There was supposed to be one, but I guess the The idea got scratched. I don't know. Scrapped. So I'll put this one in I don't know. Thunderbolts. Yeah, this is definitely a film that connects into Doomsday. As we now have our new Avengers. We have our Thunderbolts being assembled, and we have Yelena, Red Guardian, U.S. Agent, the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, and now Ghost, but also Sentry. So all that Dream Team stuff that Contessa DeVontaine thought of back in 2021 in Falcon Winter Soldier, that dream is now coming true with the Thunderbolts. Well, at least that's what she tried to. That's what she at least I think wanted to do. I don't know. But, yeah, this movie is confirmed to lead into Doomsday, as the post-credit scene takes place 14 months after the film, and I think that's where Doomsday will begin. Ironheart. Have no idea where this movie is going to start. I have no idea. We know that the stuff with Mephisto is in there, but we also don't know, like, I actually have no idea, so, we could see Ironheart in Secret Wars, but I kind of doubt it. I don't know. We now get into Phase 6 with Fantastic Four. And yeah, this is a very important movie for Doomsday. Eyes of Wakanda, as it introduces the Fantastic Four and all that stuff, and it's great. And it also has Doctor Doom at the end of the movie. Then we have Eyes of Wakanda. So, I said before that that Black Panther Wakanda Forever should be the more important movie because it actually includes Shuri's Black Panther, M'Baku, and Namor. But that stuff feels more for Secret Wars, especially with young T'Challa. Eyes of Wakanda actually feels more like the proper Wakandan project to watch for Doomsday. And the reason I say this is because this project, I actually felt like it expanded the lore more of Wakanda to where part of the cool thing with the Phase 6 and why I said it's one of the best phases in the multiverse saga is because of the projects that we're getting so far with Fantastic Four, Eyes of Wakanda, and Marvel Zombies, they're actually finding a way to make it work and correlate to set you up of what you're going to see in Doomsday. With Fantastic Four, you're going to see the Fantastic Four interact with the Avengers. Eyes of Wakanda, you are seeing basically the expansion of Wakanda and what their world is like. To where basically, you're seeing these war dogs be around history and know about history and see things that they probably don't know about, and know about wars and stuff, and they probably know about the multiverse. And what's so interesting is if you go back to like the Infinity War days, the Wakandan characters couldn't really be used as much compared to they are now because, Infinity War and Black Panther came out like a few months before each other, and they didn't really know how well received Black Panther would be. But now that we know how Wakanda is received with Wakanda Forever, and the Dora Milaje appearing in some stuff, and now Eyes of Wakanda, we could probably get the Wakandans being involved in the stuff more, and actually knowing a little bit more about the multiverse. They may be tech-based, but they might know about, like, time travel and stuff, and in like, multiverse and stuff. So they might know some stuff. So I think it's a very interesting show to watch. So it's only 4 episodes, so no need to rush, but I think it's a very cool project to watch. Now, Marvel Zombies. Technically, this feels more like a show that you should watch for Secret Wars, because we did hear that the zombies are going to be a part of, like, the Secret Wars and the Battle World. There's a section where, like, the zombies appear, so we could get a live-action zombie Captain America and stuff like that. Maybe even get that live-action version of Blade, Moon Knight Blade or whatever. However, I feel like that this is more of a project that you should watch for Doomsday, considering that this is the show that is setting you up of what this saga is trying to do, of what this of what this saga's been trying to do. Why can't we feel the same way we've been feeling for the MCU since Endgame? Because we're not used to seeing these new characters, and we're not used to seeing these new adventures. So what this show is trying to get you to do is trying to say that the Avengers are all gone, the Avengers are dead, and now you have new characters that you're going to look onto, and you're going to care about them, and they're going to matter. And I feel like that they're kind of doing that right. And even though I think they've done that a little bit already, because we care about our Thunderbolt characters, and they have a lot of Thunderbolt representation in this show with bringing in Yelena and Red Guardian, and we literally have, and even though Ghost gets killed, we get a cool moment with her. Possibly John Walker's going to be in here. Hopefully Bucky comes back in this show. But then also, you get more of Shang-Chi, you get the Death Dealer, you get Miss Marvel, you get Kate Bishop, though I heard she dies pretty early on. But also, not only does it set up that these are the new faces of the MCU, but this is also setting up that, like, the stakes are very high and that anyone can die, and it is extremely gory. Which also seems to be working for most people, that this show is going to be very gory, which I am very excited. Oh my god. Like, bro, since the first trailer dropped, this show has been anything I've been looking forward to this whole month. So I am so excited for tomorrow. I'll be waking up at like 4:30 tomorrow just to watch the first episode. Maybe even earlier. I don't know. I'm so excited for Marvel Zombies. So I'm putting this one as the Doomsday preparation. Then we have Wonder Man. Not really sure where this show's going to connect. Because I don't even know who the character is. We heard he's like an actor, kind of like that Trevor Slattery character from Shang-Chi. But I have no clue who this character is. I have no clue. I have no clue. But I'm going to put this one in I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to put this one in I don't know. Next up, we have the Punisher special. Once again, high result that this special doesn't mean much of anything. Normally, the specials don't mean much. But this is a Punisher special. It's going to take place between Daredevil Born Again. I think that that where we last saw Punisher in Daredevil Born Again, he like escapes and he's going to be fighting a bunch of people and stuff. So I think that's what the Punisher special is going to be all about. But once again, I really don't know. So I'm going to put this one in I don't know. But I'm interested to see it. Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I'm proud to say that this is actually the Spider-Man movie that you'll need to watch for Doomsday. Granted, I actually don't know if Spider-Man is going to be in Doomsday, but we do know that because before Doomsday was actually supposed to be the next MCU movie coming out, but it got delayed to December of next year. So basically, Spider-Man Brand New Day is now the next film coming out in the MCU. So we have to wait now a full year half a year now, because it's September, because it officially got announced that it's coming out July 31st, 2026. Now, I did hear about the production that's going on, that Tom Holland got a concussion on Friday, and he was hospitalized. I understand that. But personally, I'm very excited, and I hope he has a speedy recovery. So, Spider-Man Brand New Day, cannot wait to rewatch this leading up to Doomsday. And then finally, we have Vision Quest, which, I'm going to be honest, I don't know where this show is going to go. We know that it's probably going to lead it into WandaVision, that it's going to bring back Wanda. And to be honest, I feel like it's definitely going to lead into something. Because we know that because we heard that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff, that show with Phil Coulson, is going to have ties into this show. Wanda's probably going to come back in here. And honestly, we also don't know that the concept art that we saw with White Vision and Peter Quill, I think also that concept art was also for Avengers Secret Wars. So I'm actually going to put this one as a preparation for Secret Wars. So yeah, this is pretty much the buildup of what projects do you really need to watch for Doomsday and Secret Wars. So the projects you don't really need to care about are Eternals, I Am Groot, She-Hulk Attorney at Law, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Secret Invasion, and Echo. Technically, even though all these projects don't really matter, there are some projects I will still recommend, which are I Am Groot, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and Echo. I really recommend the first two I just said, but really most of those projects you don't need to watch. As for the shows I don't really know are Daredevil Born Again, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, The Punisher Special, Agatha All Along, Ironheart, and Wonder Man. Don't know if any of these characters or shows will impact the next Avengers movies, but we'll see. As for the shows that have completed storylines, which are WandaVision and Falcon the Winter Soldier, they seem pretty complete, and certain things have been completed, and some things have been accomplished and will be seen in Doomsday. Doomsday is, and this is where we get the real stuff to watch. With Doomsday, you'll be watching Loki, Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Miss Marvel, Thor Love and Thunder, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, The Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four First Steps, Eyes of Wakanda, Marvel Zombies, and Spider-Man Brand New Day. And as for Secret Wars, the shows and movies that you need to prepare to watch for this movie is What If, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, X-Men 97, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and possibly Vision Quest. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm excited. I think I might as well watch the MCU like this. And honestly, I think I may do a video discussing of like the Infinity Saga and what specific movies does each film impact. You know what I mean? Now, technically, they all impacted in some way, but realistically, how? But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll probably do something like that again, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. Forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.